we're so exhausted from caring for everybody else that sometimes the last person we can think about is ourselves. And ultimately that comes down to the relationship that you have with you. Take acceptance and acknowledgement of how you've treated your body up until this point. Acknowledge if you've abused it. Acknowledge if you've neglected it. Acknowledge if you haven't given it the love that it deserves. And then say, like, what if you were to start seeing every single cell in your body as a living, breathing organism that deserves your love and attention? Your cells depend on you just like your kids. Your body and all those living cells are perfect in their half of the relationship. This is for you to realize that they're doing everything perfectly. Your responsibility is... Hello, you guys. Welcome to this week's episode of the Expand and Evolve podcast. Today, I wanted to talk about how caring for your body and your health truly is the ultimate form of self-love. And I have a couple notes and things that I was writing down as I was thinking about this, and some things I actually want to read out loud to you. But I ran a group called the 12 Days to a Better You. And in that, I focused on things in regards to just overall health. So we talked about inflammation. We talked about gut health. We talked about energy levels. We talked about mindfulness. We talked about movement. We talked about nutrition. And I'm going to go into a little bit of those things here. And then I also wanted to go into just a little deeper, because I feel like the surface level things that increase your health that we all know typically is like, you need sleep, you need water, you need to reduce your stress, you need to eat good, nourishing foods, you need to add movement to your body. And two things that I feel like would really, really impact and improve your health is reducing your overall toxic load. So reducing toxins from your body in terms of what you're putting on your body, reducing toxins from what you're putting in your body, on your body, and in your body. And then also your mindfulness practices are huge, but also reducing inflammation. And so I wanted to kind of go through all of that. And I first wanted to start with just a quick intro that I was writing as I was driving home thinking about doing this podcast. So what I wrote is, what if you started seeing caring for your body and your health as the ultimate form of self-love, self-respect, and self-care? When you fail to prioritize your health and your body, it's a form of self-neglect, self-abuse, and a lack of respect to yourself. Your health is not something you can outsource. This is a direct relationship between you with you, and how you care about yourself and your body shows up in the physical. So if you're someone who struggles with your weight, ultimately that's a struggle with the relationship within you. It could be that you don't feel you're worth prioritizing. It could be that you don't feel that you're worth being taken care of. It could be that you feel you need to take care of others before you prioritize yourself, because you feel caring for you is selfish, because maybe you've been taught to take care of others' needs and abandon your own, which is the true sense of martyrdom, which I feel so many women experience. And this is why I feel like there's such a, what's the right word? Epidemic? I don't know. Whatever. I feel like there's so many women who they have kids and they do stop prioritizing themselves, whether that means spending time with their own friends, moving their own body, caring about their nourishment. Like, we're so exhausted from caring for everybody else that sometimes the last person we can think about is ourselves. And ultimately that comes down to the relationship that you have with you. And I wanted to just speak about this. So I'm going to read a little bit more that I had written down, and then we're just going to have an open conversation about it. Okay. Because I feel like this is going to be really, really powerful, and just a way for you to start reflecting on, where is your relationship with your health at? Where is your relationship with your body at? Because ultimately, like, we think relationships are outside of us. It's like, oh, my relationship with my partner, my relationship with my kids, and my relationship with my parents, and my relationship with my coworkers. And all of those things are important, and those relationships are important. But the relationship you have with yourself is the most important of all. And that's something that's not often been taught to us. And so it's the one relationship that's really easy to neglect and almost feel isn't important. And I can say for myself that the times where I really struggled with food and really did neglect myself, abandon myself, and abuse myself, truly, I also ended up with it's relationships are a mirror. And so, of course, what did I attract in that season where I wasn't caring for myself? A lot of people who also didn't truly care about me and maybe didn't show me the same care that I knew deep down I deserved. But ultimately it came down to, I needed to show myself that self-love, self-respect, and all of that first. So I want to talk about that. And I just want to read this part too, okay? Because I had written this out and I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like it's so important. So taking care of your body and your health is a form of self-respect, because if you're in a place of self-hatred or self-abuse, you don't see your body as a divine temple of life that you can nourish, nurture, love on, and take care of. Prioritizing nutrition and light movement may just be your first step. And that's amazing. But what if you were to start seeing every single cell in your body as a living, breathing organism that deserves your love and attention? Your cells depend on you just like your kids. So what if you started seeing your body as like all of these millions and jillions, I don't know how many cells we have in our body, but there's a lot. And all of them are like your little babies. And they're all just hanging on and doing life for you and helping do what they can for you in order to keep you alive and keep you thriving. And all those little babies will take whatever you can give them. So let's say the baby, they've been void of love. And this is something else I wrote. I'm like, literally babies who are nourished, they get all the milk that they need and don't have love can physically die. And so if you start thinking about yourself and your cells as a little baby, and you never give yourself love and you never give yourself that attention and you never give yourself that care, and now on top of it, you don't move, you don't drink enough water, you load yourself up with sugar, which causes severe inflammation, you never nourish your body with tons of alive foods, you're constantly eating dead foods meaning like stuff that just sits in the pantry forever, you're not eating fresh, good for you food. Of course, your body is not going to be in optimal health. And the way I see it, this is what I wrote. If you were to see every cell in your body as a living, breathing organism that deserves your love and attention, your cells depend on you just like your kids depend on you. See them as these cutie little babies needing nourishment, just trying to hang on and trying to do their best to function for you, trying to keep you as healthy as they can with what they have to work with. But if they never get that love, what happens? Babies literally can die from not getting that love. You can give them the food, but without the love and nurturing, they literally die. And so think of your body that same way. When a baby's given love, they thrive and are joyful and are happy. Your body is the exact same thing. So you must provide it love, nourishment, and care. And honestly, at this point, I feel like that love, nourishment, and care may be the missing component when we talk about our health. Because we can be like, well, you eat chicken and green beans and and you're going to lose weight and like move your body. And it's very like mathematical and like, what's the right word for it? Mathematical and very like linear in the sense it's like you do this and do this and do this, and then you'll be healthy. But it's coming from here. It's very like mind focused rather than how do you bring your heart into your health and your body? And I think that's the piece where when people are trying to live a healthier lifestyle or lose weight or like heal themselves from sickness, if you're missing that love piece that nourishes yourself, it's not just the food. And I'm almost at this point feel like if I ate a piece of cake, let's say loaded with all the worst stuff, but I'm in a setting where it's eaten with love, it's eaten with enjoyment, it's eaten with people that I care about, I feel like my body is going to process that different than if I eat that food like ridden with energetics of shame and guilt and self-hatred. Like I'm eating the cake and I'm like, oh, you're so fat and disgusting. Oh my God, you're so gross. You're going to have to work out after, but you're eating it. And as you're eating it, the energy that you're eating it in is shame and guilt. So what happens in that frequency? Those types of energetics, they get stored. But if it's with love, your body's going to be like, ooh, this was so nice. And it's going to be such a joyful experience. Does this make sense? And so anyways, okay, let's finish this part and then we're just going to talk about it. So, yeah, I was just saying that I really truly feel that more important than the food, obviously we want nourishing foods, but the energy that food is consumed in almost matters more. So if you know you've given it love, you've given your body love, you've nourished it with the happy and alive foods, I truly feel like you're just going to become healthier. It's not about cutting everything out and cutting out everything you enjoy. It's like, are you doing it in a loving, healthy, caring way? And your health will literally start to improve because of that. So what I first want to start and encourage you to say before we jump into anything else is I'd encourage you to start this practice of talking to your body. And even right now, if you know that you have not cared for your body in the best way, you know you've abused it, you know you feed it a lot of garbage and you're just, just getting by, I would encourage you to just say like, put your hands on your heart and just say like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry, body. And I promise I will take care of you again. Because I want you to start seeing yourself and your body. Like, how would you look at your little kid? Let's say it's like 5, 6. It could be your partner that you love so much. Like someone in your life that you love so much. How would you speak to them? And like, this is the typical thing you hear about when we talk about self-love is like, speak to yourself like how you'd speak to the people you love. And like, yes, but go deeper. Like really connect with, okay, your baby's sitting in front of you. saying like they're fat, they're disgusting, you can see how they're eating, and it's sad. And like for a lot of us as mothers, we look at our kids and we go, we want to help keep them healthy. We want to give them the best of the best. That's from love. So what if you started actually developing that relationship within you, and then watch how things start to change? And so first, I would just say, like, take acceptance and acknowledgement of how you've treated your body up until this point. Acknowledge if you've abused it, acknowledge if you've neglected it, acknowledge if you haven't given it the love that it deserves. And then say, like, I'm sorry, and I promise I'm going to start taking care of you again. And when you come from that approach with everything that you do, whether like right now it's sunny, I'm like, I want to go for a walk. Like, that's coming from a place of love. It's not like, oh my God, I need to get my steps in because like I'm fat and disgusting. And like, if I don't get my steps in, I'm going to be fat. That's how I used to come at it. That's how I used to come at all exercise. It was all ridden with fear and from a place of truly self-hatred. Where now when I think about moving or working out, it's like, oh my gosh, I love my body so much. I want to be outside. I want to be connecting with the trees. I want the fresh air. I want the sunshine on my skin. Like, all of these things make me feel good. That's the motivation to go move. That's the motivation to go work out. It's not from this like self-hatred and like punishment place that it used to be, because I would abuse myself with food and then I would abuse myself with alcohol. So I would start by abusing with food, and then I would feel like alcohol. That's not even what I meant to say. I meant to say exercise, but I did use alcohol too. But I would be abused with food, abused with alcohol. Sometimes I would use alcohol in order to make me feel like I didn't need to control myself so I could eat whatever I wanted. Then I would abuse myself up until like literally being so full I was in serious pain, pure gluttony, and like eating and eating and eating out of a place of self-hatred. And the next day, from all that shame and that guilt and like feeling disgusting, I would force myself to do big long workouts. And it was out of punishment because I needed to burn the calories. And it was this vicious cycle. Okay. Anyways. And then the next thing I wrote, and this is just like, sometimes I write, and then I normally like to just speak, but sometimes the way I write things is almost more powerful. So bear with me because I normally don't do this in episodes. And the next thing I wrote that I wanted you to reflect on was, what happened that made you feel like you weren't worth taking care of, or like you weren't important? So I want you to sit with that one, because I think it's really important to go back and be like, where did I learn this? Where did I learn that I wasn't important? Where did I learn that I wasn't worth taking care of, and that abandoning myself was better or easier or the right thing to do in order to focus and take care of others? And what made you not feel worth it, right? So really reflect on that and try to get to the root, because that will help you tremendously in acknowledging everything that's going on with you and your health. And then I just wrote, you focus on nourishing your kids, making sure your house is clean, getting to work, and who's doing all that stuff. It's like, it's you are. And so to start to realize that if you continue to show up for everyone else, like, the person who's showing up for everyone else is you. And you need to be healthy and thriving in order to keep showing up for all of those people that you love. And so that's where just pulling that shift in to realize that prioritizing you actually will give you more time, more energy, and bring you more happiness. And understanding that when we keep neglecting that, eventually there is a level of resentment that can start to build, whether we realize it or not. And we may project that resentment on like, well, my partner never helps me. My partner never lets me work out. Oh, my kids always keep me so busy. But really that resentment, I feel, is honestly against yourself. Because if you keep prioritizing, all you need to say is like, I'm going to the gym. I'm prioritizing this hour. I'm going to do this workout, even if it means you have to do it from home. It's you that is neglecting yourself. And so ultimately you're projecting that onto everyone else around you and blaming them and being like, well, if my partner is just around me, or if like my kids don't let me work out, my kids, blah, 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 blah. And I get it. I'm a mom. I understand. There's lots of times that I haven't been able to do the things I want to do when I want to do them. But ultimately that deep resentment starts to build and we think it's about everyone else. But I truly feel like at this point, it's me recognize it's the neglect to ourselves. And so the real resentment that we're feeling is us. And so, yeah, I was just going to say it physically, as we start to build that resentment more and more, it starts to show up as physical weight. And so in order to drop that weight, you need to just learn to prioritize you again. So if you're carrying extra body weight in any way, it really does come down to you prioritizing you again. The cells in your body are meant to all work together in complete harmony. So if they're off, they're trying to show you or tell you something is off with either your soul, your spirit, or your mind. When you focus on those things, it's inevitable your health is also going to begin to transform. I can 100% say I used to use self-abuse through food, and it was an emotional comfort blanket that I would shove food down to shove down the emotions that I didn't want to feel. And now that I have such a conscious awareness around this, all I want to do is eat foods that will help nourish my cells and not damage them. And this is where I see now versus the calories of something. So before, I used to always see like, oh my God, these Doritos are just this many calories. Like, oh my God, it's going to turn me fat. And if I eat this much, it's going to make me fat. Da, 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 da. Like, that's how I used to look at food. I used to see the macros. And now, regardless of calories, I look at it and I'm like, is this food going to nourish me? So for example, I'll look at like healthy alive tomatoes, a cucumber, avocado, and I'm just like, ooh, yum. Like, this has so many good for me nutrients. And I feel it going into my body and like healing my body and making me healthier. And so starting to see food with what can work to nourish me rather than this is bad and this is not good for me and this is gross food. It's like, no, how do you start looking for foods that are more alive? How do you find foods that you know when you eat them are nourishing your cells in your body? Like, the way I like to see it is when you're eating food, seeing it as like, okay, your body's made up of all these cells, right? And seeing it as like, when you eat nourishing, healthy food, your cells are literally doing a happy dance. They're like, ooh, yum. They're like eating it up. They're so excited. They're getting all juicy and healthy. Like, start to picture your body as, you know, when your plant is really dry. Maybe you guys don't have plants. If you don't, that's an add-on. You need to add real live plants in your house. But if you see them, they're like wilting and getting sad when they don't have water. And then you have water and they're like so proud and they stand up and all their leaves are like sticking out. And it's so cool to see yourself like that. Like, when you nourish yourself, when you give yourself water, when you feed yourself all these healthy foods, like, see it like all your cells are just like, ooh, they're like sparkling up and they're so excited and they're happy and they're doing a dance and you're helping them work in harmony together. And so if you start seeing food like that, you start to drop this like negative relationship or even a hatred towards like, oh, I have to eat healthy food. Oh, healthy food, like it's bad. It's like, no, this is your birthright, is to live a healthy lifestyle and eat healthy food. If your palate doesn't like healthy stuff, learn to cook better, for one. Like, use spices, use things that make it taste better. But your palate should condition back, because if we're eating highly processed foods, it is really common and normal to feel like that it doesn't taste very good. And the really good experiment for this, where you can start to understand this, is eat, like, let's say eat grapes or blueberries or raspberries or something like that, and have a bunch. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is so sweet. This is delicious. This tastes so good. Then go eat something with processed sugar. Like, let's say you eat a chocolate bar that has processed sugar and it's like really freaking sweet, or you eat a cookie loaded with sugar. Okay. Eat something like this. Then go back and have the fruit again. The fruit no longer tastes sweet. Your palate is conditioned for that ultra processed sweetness. And now you can't even taste the deliciousness of the true real food. This is where you have to think, like, if your whole life you're eating tons of processed foods, you're not eating well, super normal that you're not going to have a palate to love healthy food. Like, that's normal. And so just starting to be aware of that, right? Where it's like, it's on you to start conditioning that back. And then in regards to your overall health, it's also on you to take responsibility for the fact that, like, this is a you to you relationship. If you're not healthy, if you're not prioritizing yourself, this is the only person you can look at and blame is you. And not in like a negative blaming way, but to be like, okay, this is my life, my choices. I'm an adult. And like, if I care about everyone else the way I say I do, why, like, introspection, why can't I care about myself that way? Where did this come from that I don't prioritize or care about me? And when you start to really look at that, you're going to realize, like, oh, whatever the thing is, it's probably from childhood or something, or your parents or whatever. And then you can be like, okay, because I understand love for others, I'm going to start learning how to apply that to myself. You're not going to know how to feel self-love in the beginning. I did all of these things out of self-hate. You may not do these from the most positive place when you begin, but it's like, no, I'm going to choose to start doing these things because I want to learn to love myself. I want to learn what that feels like, and doing it in positive light. Okay. So I want to talk about a couple different ways that you can start prioritizing your health and well-being, and ultimately the root of all of it. So I just did this 12 days to a better you. I can link the group if you want to get at it. It's already been done. It's finishing by the time you hear this. But if you want in there, I have a ton of different videos about each of these topics. And so some of those things that I talked about, like your energy levels, for example, a lot of us think that when our energy levels are low, we need coffee, or we need an energy drink, or we need something outside of us. And ultimately, the way you can improve your energy sometimes without any of that, like, yes, you could be a vitamin deficiency. Yes, I love a cup of coffee too. I'll probably go make one after this. I want an eggnog latte. But like, ultimately, it comes down to I saw this video the other day and it was so good. And it talked about how you have to see yourself like a battery. And if you haven't been charged, you're going to be dead. And when you charge yourself up, you're going to have energy. Just think about yourself like your phone. Where do you think they got the technology to do all of our electronics? Hello, by the way, it's us. And so if you see yourself like that, then some of the ways you can do that, like literally bare feet to the earth. Okay. You have electromagnetic current that runs through you. That helps charge your energy levels up. Eyeballs in the sun. Anything that the sun touches energizes you. As human beings, as the earth, we're all connected. Okay. So the reason, again, that this ties back to eating real, live, whole foods is the fact that when you eat something that only grew because of the sun, you're eating that like natural electromagnetic energy that occurs in the things that the sun helped grow. Just like you, like we need the sunshine. Our plants need the sunshine. Food needs the sunshine. And that also makes you think like if you're eating all the GMO stuff that's built in a lab, it's not getting that same charge and energy. No wonder we are malnourished, even though we have like so much food available to us these days. And so it's like, that's where you have to try to find foods that come from natural sources and are grown in the soil and in the earth. Okay. That's a whole deep conversation that we could go into, but it's like, we need that. And so right now I'm seeing the sun and I'm like, oh my God, I want the sun on my eyes. So I'm going to make this one not too long, but getting out in the sun, touching the earth, like those things, getting fresh air, deep breaths, like deep breaths of fresh air. All of those things can make you feel more alert, more energized, all of that. None of that costs money. None of that is something outside of you. Like you go connect with the earth and you can energize yourself that way. Movement. So a lot of us, because we're so sluggish and tired, we want to reach for something outside of us, like coffee. I do this too sometimes. Okay. I'm not saying that I don't. Like I love a cup of coffee, but I find if I just have the discipline to get on a yoga mat, for example, first thing in the morning, and I just like roll my neck out, I do some cat cows, I do a downward dog. It doesn't have to be extreme, but even 10 minutes of that and prioritizing breath because I don't deep breathe while I'm sleeping, then you bring that into your body. And because you have fresh air, oxygenated air, and you've had some movement, I immediately feel more alert. This could be going for a quick 20-minute walk. That can wake you up and make you feel more alert. Again, being outside, moving your body, fresh air, all of those things can improve it. Another thing for energy, water. Like, are you hydrated? Are you drinking enough water? And the foods you're eating. If you're eating super, super heavy, bogged down food, like think of yourself if you were to go run through a drive-through versus if you were to eat like, I don't know what, that's what I'm thinking about right now, but like a nice butternut squash curry with like red peppers and chicken and rice, like all of these foods that are nourishing because they're grown from the earth. Ingesting that still could make you tired if you overate it versus like all the heavy grease that could be in a fast food joints food, right? And like those buns that have no nutrients left in them. And even the meat sometimes, who knows how that's being processed. So thinking of all of that, of course you feel bogged down with energy. If you're eating a whole bag of chips, like that's heavy for your body to digest. So thinking about the foods you're eating, are they easy for your body to digest or hard for your body to digest? No wonder you feel tired when you eat sometimes, even in the morning when this is still shocking to me, but I know some people still have pastries or like a muffin or a bagel or whatever. And it's like all of those things are a quick spike and then a crash. And so those probably aren't going to give you a lot of energy and you probably are going to feel tired and you're going to want to go grab foods that, like quick sugar foods or more energy drinks, more coffee, all the things. So just keeping that in mind. And then the big factor that I just wanted to talk about for this episode, so it's not super long, is to talk about the fact that inflammation is the root cause of all disease. Okay. And the toxic load that you're carrying. So both of those things as health things that you could really prioritize improving. And ultimately what I found is like, no matter what you're dealing with health-wise, no matter what chronic disease, no matter what you're experiencing, whether it's something with your heart, whether it's something with your liver, all of those things ultimately come down to, there's two factors. There's a couple. So the factors that you kind of have to cover, I feel like there's 5. So water, what's the quality of water that you're drinking? And are you drinking water? Next thing is food. We already talked about this. Nourishment, right? Like what are the foods you're eating? Are they nourishing? Where are they from? Do they have a good energy source that you're getting from them? How are you preparing them? Like, are you eating a lot of alive foods? The most basic thing that you could start thinking about is like, I want to add more alive foods in my day-to-day, things that rot. Try to eat mostly foods that rot, and then you can sprinkle in the things that don't. And if you make your diet up of foods that rot, so think of like apples, oranges, bananas, a cucumber, like foods that like get nasty if you don't eat them right away. Those are the foods you want to be eating most of the time. And then obviously you can sprinkle in stuff from the pantry here and there. That's fine. But like the real live foods should be what you're eating most of the time. So if that's your diet, you're doing that. You're eating really well. You drink a lot of water. You move your body. Ultimately, they found like 30 minutes a day is ideal. Doesn't need to be an intense exercise, like even lightly walking for 30 minutes. Weightlifting, ideally for most women, especially like incorporate some form of resistance training, whether that is Pilates or weights or something, just to keep your body strong. That's important too. But like ultimately 30 minutes a day, which you cannot tell me that you couldn't get 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes at night, or like somewhere in your day, prioritize a little bit of movement. I have been doing Pilates at home. That's an easy way for you to get movement too. So if you prioritize that, you've got movement that you're doing, you are eating really well, you're focusing on more alive foods, you are drinking water, you're getting sleep. So the next factor would be sleep, ideally 7 to 9 hours a night. I used to be the person who only slept 6 or 5 and it didn't matter and I didn't care. And I was like, so go, go, go. I now prioritize my sleep so much so that if I wake up feeling tired and I set an alarm, like I sometimes won't get up. I'm like, I'll just sleep till I feel ready to get up. So prioritizing those things. Okay. So we've got sleep, water, food, and movement. Those are 4. If you're on it with all of those things and your health is still jacked up, this is where there's 2 other factors I feel are really important. So overall toxic load, like what products are you putting on your skin? Could they be disrupting your hormones? All of that is really important. Like, do you live in a house with toxic mold? Like, this is just the next factor I would consider to make sure that like, okay, you're doing everything right for your health, but what's going on? And the next one I would say is like probably the biggest culprit for people. It's your mind. So this is something that a lot of people don't think about and consider when they're thinking about their health. They immediately go to diet and exercise. That's what everyone thinks about. But ultimately, it's like what's going on in your mind and how you think about your body, how you think about health, how you think about life, the things that you put in there can also physically make you sick. How you navigate relationships, that you neglect yourself, that you don't know how to have hard conversations, that you keep resentment in, you keep your truth in, you don't speak and say the things you want to say, you're not navigating and feeling through emotions. Our body is an emotional body. Yes, there's the chance that you're carrying physical, emotional weight for the fact that you don't process your emotions. You just keep going because life is so busy and you don't have time for it. Okay, well, you're going to deal with that at some point. So all you're doing when you don't process the feelings that you're having is you put them in your like body, which is, you could call it like your emotion bank. It's going to just hold that. It holds it until you're ready to process it, but you've got to go back to it and process it. This can literally be impacting your health in a negative way. You also could be physically carrying body weight because of it. Like you literally could be carrying hundreds of pounds of resentment, anger, sadness, and all of this stuff. Ultimately, it's your emotional body and you're shoving it down, whether that's food or maybe you eat well and you move and you still have extra body weight. It's your emotional body. It's carrying other people's shit. You maybe don't have boundaries. Like this is where your mind becomes so important. And so practices for that, the easiest one I would say is yoga, because it brings some mindful awareness, but it's not as tough, I would say, for most people who don't have the ability to sit still or do a meditation practice. Like it just brings a little bit, enough of awareness, I feel, that you're breathing, you're regulating that. It can make your mind feel still. So to do yoga, breath work, learning a mindfulness or meditation practice, journaling, all of these things you wouldn't sometimes assume could literally help your body weight and your physical body, but these habits really do matter. And even the person who looks super lean could be all jacked up on the inside because of their emotional body, and they still could get cancer. This is why, like, when 2020 was happening and people are like, but they're so healthy. Like, I don't understand. I'm like, someone can appear healthy because they have abs or they're not overweight and they're not healthy. They're high strung, they're high anxiety, like that can literally kill you. Being in that state of stress can literally kill you. It doesn't matter that you're not overweight. It doesn't matter. Like you can be living, why is there a bee? It's December. It's so random. anyways, you can be living in a perpetual state of like stress, anxiety, all of that, and that can manifest as disease within your body. And so bringing it back to the fact that like, yeah, the food, the water, the sleep, all of that's important. That's amazing. Prioritize that. But prioritizing your mind and your mental well-being is also extremely, extremely important. What else did I want to say on that? And so bringing in those mindfulness practice is essential, I feel, and navigating those emotions, like really sitting with the fact that if you have a memory from, let's say, in your childhood that you've never told anyone about, and then you think about it and you write it down and it brings up emotion, feel the emotion, feel it. The only way to get it out of you and like process that and let it go is to feel it. So feel it and start learning how to practice that every time emotions show up so that you don't keep shoving them down and putting them in your body. Because I feel like ultimately what I've noticed, at least, is like someone, let's say with MS or psoriasis, like any skin condition, like anything that is attacking your whole body, I truly feel it's you. Your body and what's happening is a physical manifestation of what is happening internally within you. And so anything showing up on the outside is there as a last effort, like warning to you, because it's like, it's been there. It's been trying to like, nudge you to pay attention, but you haven't been paying attention. And so how does it get louder to let you know that something's off? It has to show with like a physical symptom so that it's trying to send alarm bells like, hey, pay attention to me. I don't know what else to do here. Think of your cells like little babies living in your body, trying to alert you like something is wrong here. Hello, I need your attention. And we're so freaking busy looking out here, we don't even sit to pay attention to it. And so it's bringing it back to if you do struggle with MS or any of that stuff, it's like, that's just your body trying to let you know something's off. And it can feel, even if you've been diagnosed with cancer, someone has been diagnosed with cancer, that's all it is. And if we can start to see that, and I know it feels scary when it's you. Like if I had a diagnosis right now, I'd be like, holy, okay, I feel like I'm doing everything right. But I'd be like, what am I ignoring? What is this trying to show me? What do I need to go into? And I would do everything holistically to get healthy. And so that would become the biggest priority. And so a lot of people, especially on their like spiritual path or spiritual journey, so many of these people struggle with their health. They will have a major health thing that literally can almost kill them. And it's to teach them how sacred their body is. That like, this is your temple. If you go back to like Jesus's original teachings too, he talks about this, how your body is a temple. And like, that's where fasting came from and cleansing in terms of like colonics. If you haven't read the, Essene's Gospel of Peace, I think it's called, or something. Anyways, that book, it's Jesus's original teachings in regards to health. And he talks about this, like you should only be eating foods that are alive. If you eat foods that are dead, they will cause death upon you. And it's like, yeah, it's pretty like makes sense, like pretty logical for all of us, but we're so disconnected. We don't see this. Where was I going with that? So anyways, bringing yourself back to the fact that like, if you've taken care of all those essentials, you need to focus on your mindfulness and understand that like, especially if you're carrying a whole bunch of extra weight, what are you avoiding? Why are you taking care of everyone else? You need to be your number one priority because you're just carrying all the stuff you don't need. And like, eventually it's not about like being skinny. It's just like all that extra stuff you're carrying is going to harm you eventually. And it's not really about like, I think we talk about this all the time in North America. It's like obesity. Oh, people, it's like an obesity crisis. I'm like, it's not really an obesity crisis. Like, yeah, our food sucks. And that's a whole other conversation too. That's one part of it. But it's like people are unwell. People are disconnected. People don't have community. People don't have support. People don't know how to navigate their thoughts, emotions, and feelings. And so it's manifesting as physical disease within the body. That's what's happening. That's it. And so it's like, again, if you were to eat, like think about this. You're eating alone in shame, just shoving food down, versus you're eating in community. You're all sitting around a table. It's like love. You're talking. It's good. Like you feel connection. Think of the difference in how you're going to consume food. Completely different circumstances. That's how we all used to eat, was with people. And now so many of us are so busy, we're not even slowing down to connect with the food we're eating. We're literally driving, shoving food down because we're starving, but we have to get somewhere. And so we're not even connecting with the food we're eating. No wonder people are overweight. Because when you slow down, you stop everything, you don't have a TV on, a phone, nothing, and you sit and connect with your food and you slow it down. It's not even about the slowness connecting with your stomach. You just have a deeper appreciation and value for the food you're eating. You no longer want to abuse it because you also don't want to abuse you. You have a deep reverence and respect for the food. And that changes everything, in my opinion. Okay. let me just read this last part and we'll keep it really short and simple. Okay. Okay. So I wanted to read this to you because I think it's really valuable. It's from The Mastery of Love. Okay. And then we'll end it in like 5 minutes. The cells in your body are completely loyal to you. They work for you in harmony. We can even say they pray to you. You are their God. This is absolutely the truth. Now, what are you going to do with this knowledge? Remember, the whole forest was in complete harmony. But this is like a story. When you're thinking about like the whole forest, it was basically this goddess who was connected with the forest. And then as soon as she started chasing this man outside of her, she was like killing things and trampling things, whatever. So this is the story. Once she recovered her awareness, she went flower to flower and said, I'm sorry. Now I will take care of you again. And the relationship between Artemis and the forest became a love relationship again. The whole forest is your body. And if you just acknowledge this truth, you will say to your body, I'm sorry. Now I will take care of you again. The relationship between you and your body, between you and all living cells that depend on you, can become the most beautiful relationship of all. Your body and all those living cells are perfect in their half of the relationship. And this is for you to realize that they're doing everything perfectly. Your responsibility is your side of the relationship is what you can control, which is what's going on in your mind and how are you taking care of them. And so understanding that the other half is your mind. So your body takes care of its half of the relationship, but the mind is the one that starts to create issues. So it really is like come down to the fact that what's happening in here. So your body's doing its thing. It's keeping you breathing, it's processing, it's detoxing, it's doing all of that. But what is your mind thinking? What are the stories you're creating? What are the words that you say toward your body? What are the things that you ingest within your body? Like what's your mind telling you to grab? Maybe it's like, I need chocolate. It's like, do you need chocolate? And this is something that I noticed for myself is when I'm stressed, I get hungry. So let's just take an example, simple, because I'm like, I don't get stressed. I do. I understand stress differently now. So like, let's say for example, like all of a sudden I get ravenous in the car. I realize that I'm actually, because my body has spiked up the stress hormone from maybe we're stuck in traffic or something's happening or I'm rushing because I'm late. I feel hungry. And I started to notice that like, okay, when you get that instant hit of hunger, you're not actually hungry because hunger doesn't hit you like that. Hunger's slow. It's like, oh yeah, I could eat. It's not quick and like abrupt and urgent. You're in a stress state. And so I've always like, I used to have really big hangry symptoms where it's like, I need to eat right now. I'm going to like die. And I did used to faint. So that's a whole other thing. But I realized that I was like, okay, if I can bring conscious awareness, like, okay, you felt hungry out of nowhere. No, you're actually stressed. Okay, how do we bring our stress levels down? Take a few deep breaths, have a sip of water, slow down. Something that I've noticed is like, if I go move with yoga or something that completely relaxes my nervous system, or go for a walk or connect with the earth, I'm not hungry. The hunger goes away. So it's not real hunger. It's just when you're in a super stressed out state, guess what hormone goes through the roof? Ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone that tells you you're hungry. And so learning that, I was like, okay, I knew this, like I knew it here, but I get it here in my body now. And I went, holy shit, most of the time when I think I'm hungry, I'm not hungry. My nervous system is out of whack. I'm not in a calm state. I'm in a stress state. And so now I want food. And so apply that to your own life. The next time you get an urgent hit of hunger, it should never be urgent. It should never be like, I'm starving, I need food. It should be a slow oncoming of letting you know, like, we're almost ready to eat now. It like starts to let you know you need food, but it's not abrupt and it's not urgent. And if it is, that's a spike because of your stress levels just went up. That's what I found. The next thing I just wanted to talk about, detoxification, you guys, so important. Like, you need to make sure that you're not putting toxins on your skin, but also supporting your liver, supporting your detoxification system, and reducing inflammation in your body. If you can reduce the inflammation, which is the root cause of all chronic disease, you can guarantee yourself a better chance of like never navigating with health issues ever. So if you're chronically inflamed, which I was, so I was drinking oat milk and I started getting zits. And so the way I see it is like I had such severe gut inflammation happening that I was completely unaware of. And so it had to start showing up on my skin to try to get my attention and be like, hello, things are going on. Can you please stop ingesting the oat milk? I've talked about this before. As soon as I cut out oats, it's better. And now I can actually have oats in moderation now, and I don't react the same way. So just thinking about that, where it's like, what are you doing every day that could be causing inflammation to your body? I've had a deep ask connection question with coffee because so many people say it's bad for you. I actually don't think it's bad for my body. Like, I have talked and I asked before even doing ayahuasca. I've sat with the thought for a while, and I'm like, I actually don't think it's causing harm to my body at all. For some people, they may really need to cut it. I don't think it's that for me. But again, it's like, can you inquire with certain things? For a little while, I was like, okay, I don't think I should have gluten. And now what I've realized, it's processed sugar. So I'm fine with sweets, but processed sugars wreck me. And so having the awareness that, like, I'm going to limit that because I love and care about myself, and I don't want my poor body going through that state of inflammation. And that state of inflammation leads to physical disease. So reduce the inflammation, which means don't eat foods that make you feel like crap. Like, reduce that. And this all comes back to, there's no secret. So regardless of what you're dealing with, regardless of what health issue you have, ultimately what I went through, whether it was gut health, inflammation, we went through like having low energy levels, we went through protein deficiencies, we went through a ton of this other stuff in the 12-day group. It all came down to the same things. The answer for almost every condition, no matter what people were dealing with, if they had extra weight, if they didn't have an appetite, all of it comes down to eat real whole foods, drink water, move your body, focus on mindfulness practices, and sleep. That's the answer for everything. So I'm not going to overcomplicate it. I'm going to leave it at that. If you are in a position where you know you need support in this, like, you know you struggle with, let's say you have IBS and you're struggling with inflammation there. It could literally be a mind manifestation in your gut because they're so connected, that you need to just like quiet your mind, do mindfulness practices, and that flare up could go away. And it also could be you've abused your gut lining, and so it needs like probiotics and prebiotics and all of that. And that's where supplementing can be helpful, because a lot of our foods don't have all the nutrients they used to. But what I wanted to say is, we have our 30-day group, which is our wellness collective, starting on January 1st. And if you are in a position where you need support in this, you're like, okay, I know all the things, because I know all the things. It doesn't mean I always follow that and prioritize myself. And so this group is going to be all about prioritizing mindfulness practices, prioritizing just eating good whole foods that taste good, like awesome recipes, moving your body in whatever way suits you, whether that's yoga, a walk, a weight workout, like whatever feels good to you. Any of those work. And then prioritizing real whole food and supplementing with products that are going to fill in the gaps. So products that do help you detox toxins, products that do help build up that healthy gut, because your gut is connected to your brain and has been proven to impact your mental well-being. When you are struggling with inflammation and your gut is inflamed, you have brain fog, you can't focus, you're not inspired, you just don't feel your best. And so prioritizing and improving the gut can shift everything. And so we help you with that. We help you detox. We help you hit your protein deficiencies, because for women, a lot of people are low in this, and it's an incredibly important thing to prioritize your protein, and then also your like clean energy, things that actually support you, that aren't going to like spike your cortisol levels, all of that. And so we help with supplements to kind of fill in those gaps, micronutrients. So all your happy cells, all those cells in your body that just like are craving nutrients, we help you with that. There's greens that you can take, all of that stuff. So if you have questions about this, I will put a link if you want to be in that and you're just looking for something to help prioritize yourself in the new year. I highly suggest it. Like, this group is amazing. So I will put links for that if you want to get involved and send me some questions so we can talk about it. But I'm really excited for the new year, and like just my own relationship with my health has improved so much from when I used to abuse myself, and like I looked healthy. I literally competed in that energy and had abs, you guys, but I wasn't the epitome of health. I feel like with more body fat now and how I treat myself and care about myself, I'm at a healthier place in my life now. So prioritize your sleep, have some water, go eat all the foods that are alive and can help fill up those cells. Prioritize your self-talk and start to understand it. Journal, include some mindfulness practices in your life, and understand that that is 100% worth your time, because it can quite literally and physically reduce stress, inflammation, and everything that could be leading to the reason you're struggling with your health in the first place. So thank you for being here. We will see you in the next episode.